I want to open this section with you considering a question. Now, why is it that one man can build an incredible life, an incredible business, and an incredible impact, and yet in exactly the same time frame, another man does so much less? Well, to me, the answer is simple. The answer is that one man has created for himself more capacity than the other. In other words, capacity is the ability to get more done in the same time frame or to handle more without getting burned out. In other words, I should say, when you develop your capacity, and we're going to have a really great discussion about how to do that, when you develop your capacity, you achieve an ability to move faster and create more and build more in a shorter time without falling into overwhelm. So let me give you an example. I worked with a guy last year and into this year who, when I met him, he was day to day caught up in the running of his business, serving clients, delivering services, just keeping the whole thing afloat. And now he's transformed himself and thus his business into a place where in the same amount of time, in fact maybe a little bit less time, not only does all the basic stuff get taken care of, but every week he's seeing business growth, he's opening new offices, he's coming up with new ideas, new ways of bringing in clients, and his business is growing to the point that he's making as much in a month now sometimes as he would make in half a year before. And that, to me, is the biggest benefit of capacity. We can just do more and make more happen in the same time frame. So let's break this down a little bit. I want to give you some concepts and things to look at in your life which might give you some insight as to why your capacity is where it is right now and what can you do to build it up, expand it, upgrade it. Now, the first conversation I want to have with you is this. In life, in any moment, we can exist, we can show up either as a consumer or a producer. I'll give you an example in my life. Last night, I took my son and my wife out to see a movie. We were consuming a movie. I was paying for somebody else's product. In that moment, I was being a consumer. Right now, I'm creating video that's going to go out to hundreds or thousands of people, and I'm being a producer. Now, when we spend more time as a consumer, guess what? We have less time left as a producer. And when you live more as a consumer than a producer, very simply, life goes slower, you build business slower, and you give less value. So the first thing you got to look at is, where in your life are you being one? Where in your life are being the other? And how can you shift the balance a little bit more so you spend more of your day, more of your week producing value for others, producing content, producing new ideas, producing experiences. It can even be experiences for your wife or your kids, but produce, produce, produce. When you start to do that and you start to see yourself as primarily a producer, your attitude, how you show up, and thus your capacity begins to change. Now, the next thing that I find absolutely fascinating, I get on the phone, I get on calls with a lot of guys, and almost to a one, this is what I hear. I hear people say to me, Simon, I could do so much more if I just could have more discipline, if I could figure out how to control myself and discipline myself more. And you see, I found out that we all put other people on a pedestal, and we think they have more discipline than us because they're more effective. And then I gave up on that idea. I decided that maybe discipline is bullshit. And then I realized maybe nobody has any discipline. I don't have a lot of discipline. The high performers I run with, often they don't have a lot of discipline. What they've done instead is they've given up on that concept that maybe just doesn't work anymore. And they've figured out a way to manage themselves better. And in many cases, to put their lives on autopilot. So what does that look like? You see, when you focus or when you rely on discipline to get more done, what happens is you reach the moment of doing, and it's so easy to get distracted, isn't it? It's so easy to do other things. It's so easy to focus on the things that don't make a massive difference. When you put your life on autopilot, a couple of things change. One, you have to go back to what we talked about in conviction, that major, definite purpose, that laser clarity on what you're about, what your life is about, what you want to make happen. You have to live from that. And then what you have to do is you have to start scheduling your calendar. You schedule events and things that are going to happen that you're literally handcuffed to. that you can adjust. Invite other people. Another great technique to put your life on autopilot is to make commitments to people. You see, I'm shooting this video series right now. I know I could easily make this thing take 3 months. And so what I did to avoid doing that was I scheduled it at the time, I put it on my calendar, and then I made commitments to my IT support team and said this will be done and delivered by this date. And I also reached out to people that I know are going to want to consume this content, and I said, hey, I'm putting it together. Are you interested? And I made a commitment to them to get it done. Now, basically what I'm doing is I'm managing myself as if I'm a bad employee. I'm putting constraints on myself to where I have to do things because I know I don't have any discipline. I'm just realistic like that. There are other things that would be so easy to distract me with. So I want you to look at your life and figure out where in your life are you relying on discipline. But if you just put it on autopilot, if you scheduled it and made yourself publicly or privately accountable to other people, how would you be more compelled to do the things that are important to you? You see, there are times in our life that we want to create expansion, we want to be free, but maybe there are times in our life when we want to literally chain ourselves to an outcome so that we want to do it so we can cut that chain. To me, that's how I manage myself. I find it very powerful. Many of the guys that I've tweaked their mindset towards this whole issue on have done the same thing and achieved incredible results. The last part of this video, the last part of this discussion is one of the things that comes up in every conversation I ever have with another man is this idea of 4 quadrants. This is how I live my life, and I truly believe that when these 4 quadrants are fired up, they're alive, they're being taken care of, our lives are better. And let me walk you through what this is very quickly. You see, I believe that as men, we have to have our bodies be in prime physical condition. We want good energy levels, we want to feel relaxed and agile in our bodies, because when we're not, we don't feel good and life is not as good. I want to be able to take off my shirt in front of a mirror, in front of my wife when I go to the beach and feel fucking great about myself. When my body's in that kind of shape, that box is ticked. Number 2, we talked about this already in connectedness. When I feel calm, centered, clear, open, connected to more than just my own ego and my own bullshit, life is better. 3rd quadrant is this, my relationships. My relationship with my wife or my partner, business partners, with my clients, with my people that I take care of, with my son. When those relationships are transparent and open and great, and I'm being fed and expanded by them, and so are they, life is better. Quadrant number 4, my business, my impact, how I make money. We as men are essentially hunters. We want to go out and hunt and kill and bring back food for our families and for the village. We don't do that anymore, but we go out and make money instead. Every man I know, when he's bringing home a big check every month, feels better than if he was bringing home a small check every month. This doesn't really change. So these 4 quadrants of our physicality, our spirituality, our relationships, our business, they're like 4 ventricles of a heart. If there's a hole in one of them, we bleed out, we bleed power, we bleed attention. Life starts to become gray rather than vibrant. So you really got to look at this every single day and figure out, where am I on these 4 quadrants? Where do I need to apply more effort? What do I have to change? What do I have to get rid of? When you start to look at your life that way, it is impossible for your life not to get better. And relating to this conversation, when you take care of those 4 quadrants, you automatically expand your capacity for doing more. Listen, when I'm fighting with my wife, my capacity in my business is less. When my energy levels are low, my body sucks, my ability to be in my relationship is degraded. When I'm spiritually confused, my ability to take care of my clients is degraded. These things all connect together. You have to understand these interrelationships. And then what you want to do is draw out a cross. Put these areas down on paper. And what I want you to do is write down a number between 1 and 10. 10 being amazing, 1 being it sucks. Write down a number between 1 and 10 for each of these areas. It doesn't matter what it is, but what I want you to understand is, where are you right now today in these areas? Where are you strong? Where are you weak? Do that. And then ask yourself this: what would it take to get me to a 10 in each of these areas? And write down what would have to change, what would you have to learn, who would you have to become, what relationships do you have to build, What do you have to get rid of out of your life, out of your schedule to get to a 10 in each of those areas? And it's a constant chase, right? I know if I get to a 10 in my physicality, I'm going to want more. I know if I get to a 10 in my business, I'm going to want more. But what would happen to our life if we're constantly pursuing excellence in these four quadrants? I already know the answer to that. Your life starts to get better. Your capacity expands. And here's the last question for you. Once you've figured out where you're at and what it would take for you to get to a 10, look at your capacity, your ability to create results and do more in each area. And figure out, how do I grow my physical capacity, i.e. get stronger? How do I grow my ability to love and be present with people around me? How do I grow my spiritual centered calmness? And then how do I grow my income and my business impact? How do I grow my capacity for that? Break it down in these four areas. Do it now. Come back in the next video. I'm going to give you even more ideas about how you can become more effective and grow your capacity so you can have a better life. I'll see you soon.